Welcome to this presentation. In this presentation, I'll show just the main components of the system, general view components. First, I'll start by the main menus, which are located at the left side. These main menus show the main modules that have been installed. For example, the sales module, the school students module, admissions module, leaves, etc. Under the main menus, once you click, for example, click on the cells, on top you'll see the sub-menus related to that main module. And most cases, it's usually modules that, menus that hold data, reporting, as well as configurations at the end of the sub-menus. So in this video, I'll show the views all possible views that you can be able to see in the system. And I will use several modules to show that because several of them have different views. So for now, I'll use the CRM. And remember, these modules are visible, or these views are visible throughout the system. So if you see a view in the CRM module, it will still appear in the students module as well as the accounting and all the other modules. So this one is just like a sample because it has data. So first view that you are seeing on my screen is a Kanban view. And how do I notice the name of the view? By these quick access buttons here on top right. If I point at them, the view name just pops up, like this one is Kanban, then there is list view, then there is calendar view, there is pivot view, graph view, and finally we have the activity view. So I'll just start quickly by the Kanban view. So among this list, these views, we have views that show data and views that represent reports. Especially the last three views, that is pivot, graph, and activity, are mostly for the reports. And for live data, that will be Kanban and tree view or list view. The calendar view mostly is used to map all the important dates of the system. So on the Kanban view, data is arranged in columns and cards. And you can be able to add a column and say maybe just column here. And once that column is added, you can be able to have records represented under that column. It has the drag and drop feature that enables you to put data in columns and represent them in a well-arranged manner. That is the Kanban view. Apart from that, we have, let me just show another type of Kanban view, which is under sales. We also have the Kanban view. So in this Kanban view, you'll realize that data is represented in card forms. And those card forms have a minimized detail of the record. For example, this is a sale order. You'll just see the name, the total, the state, and the date. But once you open in, then you have all the full details. So the card just represents a brief summary of the whole data. And that you'll also see in the contacts as well as in the students and admissions views. Then we have the list view. And the list view is just your typical Excel view, whereby you have columns dropping down. And on these columns, we have several features attached to them. So we have the first feature, which is the checkbox, whereby you can be able to select several records. And once you select the several records, you'll realize that there is an action button that pops up, meaning the system knows if you're selecting a record, then there is an action that maybe you want to attach to those records. Maybe you want to delete, maybe you want to export, maybe you want to merge them, maybe you want to archive them. So point to note, if no record is selected here, the action button disappears. That happens only on the list view, and that is the view that has the columns dropping down. So You can select all the records that you want, or you can select specific records that you want on the view. So apart from action button, we have, of course, the create or import. In the system, we have the feature where you can create a record. When you click on it, it just opens a form view and asks you to type in your details. Or you can import. And importing, you can be able to select an Excel sheet whereby you can, the data is loaded from an Excel sheet. There will be a separate video for data manipulation. We shall look at it. Now, also on the list view, we have the columns, a caret button just next to each column. That one is used for sorting. So I can be able to sort this table here based on the opportunities in an ascending or descending order based on customer, as well as based on the figures. And any column on the tree view that has figures, there is always a summation at the end of the column. That makes it easy to visualize the data and get just a snippet of the summaries. Now, on each view, we also have the search bar. Now, the search bar works as a global function, meaning that the search bar will always be located here on whatever view that you are in, be it a calendar view, be it a list view, or any other view. As I start typing on the search bar, auto suggestions pop up and it asks you, do you want to search this text based on the opportunity? Do you want to test it based on the stage? Or do you want to search based on the customer or the city or whatever that you want to test from? So for example, if I go to sales and I type something here, then it will tell me, do you want to search a sell order, a customer, or a salesperson? If I go to maybe CRM and I start searching, then it will ask me, do you want to search for an opportunity, a tag, or any other field that you want to search from? Now, in a case whereby you don't find your search parameter or you don't find that field, a specific field listed here, then what happens is you can use the filter button. The filter button has predefined filters here. And apart from these filters, of course, you can add your own custom filter. So it gives you a versatile method of searching any type of record, and you can just set the parameters there. For example, this city, it contains something like maybe a country, or yeah, so I can select like customer contains something like yeah, okay, we don't have a customer like that. But yes, this gives you all that flexibility. And of course, you can be able to select based on the date ranges. And the date ranges like last 7 days, last 30 days, this week, this month, or this week. So I'm using the CRM to show all these features because then in my current database, that is the module that has most data that I can be able to show. So apart from filters, also I can be able to group my records based on different parameters. So if I just go back to the list view, I can be able to group it by maybe country, and you can be able to see if it is United Kingdom, records related to USA, records related to Belgium, and so on. I can also have a subgroup. I want by country as well as by closed date, based on the weeks. So Belgium based on week 39, then I have my records there. So once you play around with the grouping and filters, then you can get the exact information that you want. So for example, here I'll just select my leads that are won, and there is this last button here that now gives you the ability to save the default search. Now what happens is once I click on save and I go back to the CRM, it will automatically filter based on my search parameters by default. So each time that I go back, it will always remember this. But again, I can be able to remove that filter, and it will ask, do you want to remove the filter? Yes, I want to remove, and I click back. Once I click on the CRM, I can be able to see all that information. So every record that you open, or most records that you open, have a date somehow. So for example, if this lead has a closing date, say today, and I save it, and maybe I take another one, this other one, and I say the closing date was maybe yesterday, and I save it, and switch back to my calendar view, then I'll be able to see those leads or those records arranged now on a calendar format, and you can be able to switch today, for example, this one, this week, or this month. And those records are represented in the calendar, and you can be able to add or delete or manipulate or move the dates based on your need. So for example, if I just drag maybe here, once I drag, it will ask me, do you want to create a record? Yes, so I'll say a test record, and I click on create. So what happens is it creates my record there, and I can still click on it to open it, edit it, and continue with my data manipulation. So calendar view, just the same as the Kanban view, but now in a calendar format with a specific interest on the dates. Then we go to the pivot view. Now pivot view, as I mentioned before, the last three views are basically for reporting. Now all that data that we have seen in our tree view can now be represented in a report form. So we have grids on the left side as well as on the top. So if I want to see my leads based on the states and based on the months, then I'll say in July, I won such amount of leads. These ones were qualified, these ones were proposed during that month, these ones were won during that month, and the test column that I added are also represented in the view. Now, something to note is you can be able to add custom columns dynamically based on the module that you are in. And this, as I mentioned, applies in all the modules. So you are on students, you're on admissions, you're on assignments or attendance or exams, that applies to all the views. And you can also decide to minimize or reduce the columns that you are looking at. Now, once you have created your view or you have set your parameters and measures, you can download that exact view, and what happens is it opens for you a view. It exports exactly what you have seen on the view into your Excel for further data manipulation. So apart from that, of course, there is this button that you can flip the axis. So here I'm seeing the states of the columns, proposed, won, qualified on top. Here I'm seeing the months below. I can flip it to have the states below and the months on top. So that one just gives you the ability to view it in a different format. Now, something about the pivot, graph, or activity view is it gives you an extra button that we did not see on the other views. So if I go back to the list view, I'll only see filters, group by, and favorites. But if I am starting from the pivot view onwards, I'll be able to have the time ranges because the system expects that this user that is accessing this view is interested in reporting, and the date ranges are really important in reporting. So the data that you have represented here, the leads, for example, that I have represented here, I can be able to show them based on the close date, and I want to have last 30 days, and I apply. Okay, I don't have data there, but then it gives you the ability to search based on a specific period. And you can compare it based on the previous period or previous year. So if you had selected, for example, this month, then the previous period, of course, will be this, this month at the end. So for example, created on this month, apply, and it will show you the various variabilities or variations based on your data. Like this month, you did 7 of them, that was 100%. Next month, you did, the previous month, you didn't do anything, so it means your variation is 100%, and all different types of metadata that you need. That happens as well as the graph view, and on the graph view is just the same as the pivot view, just that you have now more features. For example, you have the line graphs, you have the pivot graphs, you have, and also your measures here, and of course the chart or the graph can be downloaded just as you are seeing on the screen. And then finally, we have the activity view. And the activity view just shows activities that are related to a specific record. And that I will mention it when we are talking about the form view. Notice that we have passed through all the views: list view, Kanban view, form view, pivot view, graph view, activity, except the form view. So I will explain this when we come to the form view. So how does the form view look like? The form view is actually the single record view. Once you click one record, what shows you on the screen. And on the form view, we have the main record on your left, and on the right or below, depending on the screens. Like my screen is quite big, so it will be on my right. But if the resolution is a little bit bigger, then the screen or the section I was referring to as the right section then now comes to the bottom. So it can either be on your right or it can be on the bottom based on your screen settings. So mine has a higher resolution, so it will be on my right. Now on each record, we have 4 tools here. There is a tool for sending a message. So you are on a student's account, or you are on a lead, or you are on whatever record or an invoice, and you want to communicate an information about that specific document. You have a message button there, and you can write something to note, and that note can go to an email that you have addressed there. If it is an internal user, then you can add an @ sign. So for example, Ajan, @Ajan test send message. That message, of course, you can add the emojis, and you can even attach a file to it, and you can click on send. If that person has an email address, you'll save, and that person will be notified. Now, that is send message. So if you have set up your emails correctly, then emails will be popping in and out. And also apart from that, they'll of course pop up here on your chat icon on top. Then there is also an internal log. An internal log is just like a sticky note. So the difference between an internal log and a message is that the message will expect to send a notification to the person you are addressing, or people you are addressing. It can be several. But an internal log will just be a note to this record so that whoever is accessing this record can be able to know what was happening there. And this also creates system logs, in the sense that when you create a new record, for example, test lead here, and I save it, you'll see that there is an internal log that says Michelle created an opportunity, and these are the summary of the opportunities. And when that happened today, like I've created it now. So message, send message, and internal logs. Then there is activity. Now, I'll use several records to just show an activity. If you are on a lead and maybe the customer wants you to send out a quotation, so I can set on the system a reminder, like a to-do, send customer quotation, and I schedule it. So it shows me that in due 5 days, I need to send a quotation to this person or related to this lead. I can edit it and change the due date and say, I need to do this activity maybe on 30th, and I'll save it. So once I do that activity, I can mark it as done. Once that activity is null and void, I can cancel it. All the activities or planned activities or done activities can be seen on your activities dashboard, as well as the icon on top of your toolbar. So the one that I've just scheduled, it will show me the leads and opportunities module. There is 8 in future. I'll show another example. So in a case whereby I have an invoice and maybe I need to do collection of this invoice, I can just set an activity and say maybe call about the payment of this invoice. And I'll schedule that activity. And of course, I've selected the date as 2 days. When I go back to my activities, I'll see that under the module invoice, there is one activity in future to be done. And I click on it, and there you see, I have an invoice activity in 2 days. Once maybe that activity has been done, what I'll do, I'll just mark as done. I'll write a feedback, say was successful. I was successful, and I click on done. All those logs are also recorded there. And as I said, these are features, general features that are in all the views or most of the views, depending on the installed modules as well as the access rights. And finally, I'll show the attachment button. And on the attachment button, here you can be able to attach any documents that you want on the system. So for example, if it is an invoice and there was a payment that was made and you want to have that payment also attached there. So what I'll do, I'll just create that and I'll attach it there. So you can attach Excel files, PDF files, and any other type of files that you want to attach for future references. So if I go back to, say, invoices, and I go back to this invoice, I'll see there is one attachment there. I click on it, I'll see that attachments are there. And once I click on the attachment, of course, it shows me the preview. It can be a PDF, it can be an Excel, it can be any other. So if you're a student, for example, is paying school fees and you want to capture the scanned copy, then you can use that feature on the student or on the specific invoice for that specific student. And I think that will be it for now. We meet in the next video where that we now show module per module, all the instances and functionality. Thank you.